4 months ago, the Latin subreddit reached 60,000 members and they hosted their first attested competition. There were 2 categories, recitation and composition. Each category contained a prose and a poetry component, and the contestants were divided into 2 levels. Roughly speaking, level 1 were the students, and level 2 were the more advanced students, or a group that included teachers and tutors and people who have completed degrees in Latin. I also competed in this. You can see my entry here at this card, but I didn't win a thing because the talent and creativity in this competition was just so darn good. So I want to acknowledge the great performances and great creative writing that happened here with this video, honouring the winners of the inaugural Latin Reddit recitation and composition competition. Honestly, the composition pieces especially are works of art. They're beautiful and they make you think. I've made English translations for everything in the subtitles of this video, so you can follow along from whatever level of Latin you're at. Turn on the subtitles by clicking the CC icon and or the gear icon, depending on your device. We'll start with the recitations and move to the compositions. I'll also put chapter markers for everything so you can skip to the part you want. You can also see all entries in the link in the description. First up, Level 1 Prose Recitation, a passage from Eutropius. Eutropius is a Roman historian of the 4th century AD. He wrote the Breviarium Historiae Romanae, a clear and simple account of Roman history from its foundation to his own days. In the following passage, Eutropius tells us about the victorious beginnings of a young Roman commander in the Second Punic War, who would later become its greatest general. The winner was user Sugotu Brown with this recording.
Interia ad Hispanias, ubi occisis duobus Scipionibus nullus Romanus tuxerat, Publius Cornelius Scipio mittitur, filius Publii Scipionis, qui ibidem bellum gesserat, annos natus quator et vigenti, vi Romanum omnium, et sua aetate, et posteriori tempore, fere primus. Is Carthagine Hispania capit, in qua omne aurum argentu et belli apparato affria bebant. Nobilissimos quoque obsides, quos ab Hispanis acceperant, Magonem etiam, fratrem Hannibalis, ibidem capit, quem Romam cum aris mittit. Romae in gens laetitia postum nuntium fuit. Scipio Hispanorum obsides parentibus reddidit, quare omnes fere Hispaniae uno animo ad eum transierunt, postquae Asdrubalem, Hannibalis fratrem, victum fugat et praedam maximam capit.
Now, the Level 1 Poetry Recitation from Ovid, Ibis, lines 9 to 20. Ibis is a curse poem written by Ovid in elegiac couplets. The exiled poet curses an eponymous figure whose identity is unknown to this day, and threatens them with elaborate and educated invectives. The winner was user Kekejo1 with this recording. By the way, he also runs a YouTube channel, Latin with Ollie. Go check it out, the links are in the description.
Quisquisis est, nam nomen adugut cumque tacebo, cogitinas suetas sumere tela manus, illere legatum gelidos aquilonis adortus, non sinit exilio delit visse meo, vulnera quin mitis requiem quaerentia vexat, iactate in toto nomina nostra foro, perpetuoque mihi sociatam foedere lecti, non patitur vivi funera flere viri, cumquego quassa meae complectar membra carina, naufragii tabulas pugnata pere mei, et qui debuerat subitas extinguere flammas, hic praedam medio raptora vigne petit.
Now the level 2 prose recitation. Erasmus Querela Pacis. Erasmus was a Dutch humanist and the greatest scholar of the Northern Renaissance. In this work, the personification of peace comes to earth to chastise kings, noblemen, church leaders, and soldiers for waging wars which she views as unjust and unbefitting for Christians. The winner was user Shoy de la Coeur with this recording.
Iaudio quos da ita tergiversantes ut negense tutos esse posse nisi vim proboro actiter propellant. Curigitur inter in numeros imperatores Romanos soli Antonini Pius et Philosophus petiti non sunt. Nisi quod nemo tutius regnat, quamqui paratus est et deponere, ut pote quod rei publicae gerat non sibi. Quod si nihil vos movet, neque naturae sensus, neque pietatis respectus, neque tanta calamitas, certe Christiani nominis probro animos vestros in concordia redigat? Quota mundi portio tenetura Christianis? Atque haec tamen est illa civitas inedito montesita spectaculum facta Deo et hominibus. At quid sentire putandum squid loqui, quae probra in Christue vomere Christiani nominis hostes, ubi vident Christianos sic intersesse concertare levioribus de causis qua ethnici, crudelius qua impii, machinis tae trioribus qua ipsi? Quorum inventus bombarda, nonne Christianorum? Et quore sit indignior his induntur apostolorum nomina insculpuntur divorum imagines. Roma furiosa quonda illa bellatrix tamen iani sui templu aliquoties vidit clausum, et qui convenit apud vos nullas esse bellandi ferias. Quona ore praedicabitis eis Christum pacis auctore ipsi perpetuis dissidis inter vos tumultuantes, iam quos putatis animos additurcis vestra discordia, nihileni facilius quam vincere dissidentes, vultis illis esse formidabiles, concordes est tote. Cur ultro vobis et praesentis vita iucunditate invidetis, et a futura felicitate vultis excidere.
Now the level 2 poetry recitation. Horace, Carmina 2:14. A poem addressed to a rich enophile, that is, wine lover, Posthumus, in archaic meter. The poet describes the fleeting nature of life and the possessions which we hold dear, as well as the inevitability of death for all mortals, regardless of their station. The winner was user Raphael1617 or Raphael Tuirigiano, who also runs a YouTube channel, Paleoglass. Go check it out. The links are in the description.
Eheu fugace, postume. Labuntur anni, nec pietas mora, rugis et instantis senectae, afferet indomitaeque morti. Non si trecenis quodquateum dies, amice, places illacrimabilem Pluton ad auris, qui teram plungeruon entituonque tristi, compescit unda, scilicet omnibus qui cunque terra emunere vescimur, e naviganda, sive reges, sive inopes erimus coloni. Frustra cruento Marte carebimus, fractisque rauci fluctibus Adriae, frustra per autumnos nogentum, corporibus metuemus austrum. Vi sendus ater flumine languido, cocytos errans et Danae genus, infame damnatusque longi, Sisyphus aulides laboris. Linquenda tellus et domus et placens, uxor, neque harum quas colis arborum, te praeter in visas cupressos, ulla bremen dominus sequetur. Absume teres caecuba dignior, servata centum clavibus et mero, tinguet pavimentum superbo, pontificum potiore canis.
Now, the composition entries! For the level 1 prose composition, the prompt was, write a 150 to 500 word letter from the woman in the image with the unicorn, explaining to her friend the joys and advantages of having a unicorn as a pet. Alternatively, write a letter from the perspective of the unicorn to his unicorn family back home. The winner was user Zero Nemo. The text is narrated by me. Salve, cara Julia, mea amica. Multi menses praeteriti sunt, cum te postremo scripsi. In hoc tempore orbem terrarum per aggravi, in quae sitione animalis domestici, quod mihi comes esse possit. Nunc reperi quod appetiveram. Digitur canis optimus amicus hominis esse, verum inveni unicornem etiam meliorem esse. Id animal fabulosum oculis meis occurrit, postquam fessa itinere sub arborem concedi. Aspectu eius animalis formosi lassitudo meum corpus relinquit. Felicitate affecta appropinquavi, et cum mollem pellem unicornis dedici, eiusque palpitationem cordis sensi, animad verti conjunctionem internos formare. Interea, equus cornutus, quievit, quietusque mansit, cum conata sum in eum ascendere. Heu, simulacine quos sedi, unicornis incepit celerius vento currere, et tamen me non dese iegit. 3 dies, 3 noctes vectus sum. Donec subito constans animal constitit. Descendi, animad vertique fidum comitem me domum duxisse. Ex eo tempore, nos tam inseparabiles quam unus animus sumus, numquam me relinquit. Crede meis verbis, unicornis domesticus multa commoda efficit. Nullum iter nimis longunst, omnem locum visere possum. Unicornis prudentissimum animal, prudentiusque non nullis hominibus, et intellegit omne consilium meum sine verbis. Contactus cornus morbos vulneraque sanat, quae medicum sapientissimum ad desperationem adducunt. Animal rarum pulcrumque semper quietum est, atque eius aspectu cor omnis hominis clementia concordiaque affectum est. Etiam bestiae aura eius alliciuntur, moliunturque, itaque aves, serpentes, quet oves, lupi, quet lepores, vulpes, qui in horto meo placide conveniunt. Noctu, animal magicum, hinienda cantilena, me in somnum mittit. Intertiu vires mihi donat. Formosa figura eius me semper delectat, atque saepe pulcritudine ita mota eram, ut musa mihi osculum daret, atque carmen componerem. Tamen, verba non describere possunt, quam incredibile hoc animal sit. Veni ad me Romam, et vide meum unicornem tuis oculis. Vale! Next is the Level 1 poetry composition. The prompt was, compose 5 to 10 lines in dactylic hexameter or elegiac couplets which describe the scene in the unicorn emblem above. Feel free to be creative with facts or allusions to a backstory. This is referencing the Level 1 prose composition prompt. The winner was user Monticola Silvanus, with this entry in elegiac couplets. For those of you who are more familiar with dactylic hexameter, elegiac couplets are basically a line of hexameter followed by a line of pentameter. A pentameter is like 2.5 feet of a hexameter line, twice. Bum-biddy-bum-biddy-bum, bum-biddy-bum-biddy-bum. The poem is narrated by me. Non propecao casias rupes gangetica vantra invenias pinnas, saeva medusa parit. Pegasus Andromedan portans ventos premetalis, jam sonipes alius, rex greges ille manet. Vertice te summo surgit mirabile cornu, corpora candida sunt, vulnera nulla pati. Sives vumbro serrat quercu sive per arva, virginis amplexum semper inire cupid. Nam juet indulgens tenerae parere puellae, sponte sua captus, brachia laeta subit. Now, the level 2 prose composition. The prompt was, write a 300 to 1,000 word reply to Querela Pacis, the level 2 prose recitation passage, from the Roman god Mars, or the goddess Minerva. The winner was user Varangian Way, with this speech. The author has recorded his own audio of it.
Mars loquitur. Iam risum edidi, cum dixisti, feritatem leonum inter ipsos non dimicare. Sunt ne leones ex papuro praeparati, quibus puellae infantes delectantur? Rogo, quia veri leones, alios leones interficiunt, cum limina dominiorum suorum defendent. Leainas mordent, cum praedam, ableainis ipsis captam devorant, catulos suosque enecant, quandocunque irascuntur. Apri, lunci, dracones, quodcunque verbo isto significas, lupique, etiam se ad hunc modum gerunt. Naturam dicis pacem concordiamque docere. Aperi oculos, naturales specierum evolutio, selectione naturali efficitur. Species aptissimae vivunt, species ineptae periunt. In tota natura inter animalibus ac inter graminibus atrociter pugnatum est. Si vis a natura discere, disce ut supersis. Concordiae absentiam inter homines noli quoque nuncupare malum. Conjectemus in terra quadam agricolas fame emoriri, at duos mercatores farraria plena frumenti possidere. Temporibus esuriei concordia inter frumentarios mors est. Pactionem depretio facient, amboque care vendent, donec primo vicani inedia consumantur, et deinde ipsi decoquant et periant sine emptoribus. E contrario, si nundinatores odium inter se habent, pretium grani diminuent, ut pecuniam plusquam alter emeriant. Nonne luctatio rixaque venditorum, qualitatis ac vilitatis mercium pignus. Temporibus tranquillis atque placatibus, inertia ad multitudinem cladium affert. Pax vitia gignit, prosperitas mores corrumpit. Nationes sine hostibus languescunt, et cum calamitas venit, impotenter convictas manus dant. Si vis pacem, para bellum. Fontem, parentem, altricem, omnium bonarum rerum sese appellas, sed te sub aegide mea modo florere posse oblivisceris. Quae sanatio discordiarum proponis? Suum proprium bonum abdicare pro bono publico. Caesaris Octaviani exemplum afferis, qui cupiebat etiam deponere imperium, sicquem vidisset rei publicae magis salutarem principem. Exemplum maximum, quia, ut memini, omnes, qui magis salutaris princeps firi potuissent, Caesar ipse interfecit. Iesus, quem tu Dominum vocas, se non mittere pacem in terram venisse dicit, sed gladium, infine temporum veniet sedens equo albo, ut pugnet et regat gentes in virga ferrea, non in concordia et cum pace. Iteque noli denigrare bellum, sine quo genus humanum inferitate permanserit. Dixi.
And last, but certainly not least, the level 2 poetry composition. The prompt was, compose 10 or more lines of hendecasyllabic verse, that is, a reply to Catullus from Lesbia concerning one of his poems addressed to or about her. Now, if you weren't aware of hendecasyllables, this is one of the very rigid lyric meters. Literally every line has to have the exact same rhythm pattern, which is bum 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 biddy bum bi bum bi bum bum. It is very unforgiving and restrictive, and yet it's so beautiful. The winner was user Harval666 or Jonathan Cavallar with this poem. He also has an Instagram under the name Cincinabolus, and he writes really great comics in Latin and Ancient Greek. Go and check out his stuff, links are in the description. This poem was narrated by me. Pratu berrima floribus decuntur, cum ver imperatur virescat omne, et soles calidas bonasquet luces, dant herbis animalibusque gratis. Ad cum nubila contecun serenum caelum clancinerace colore, et sylvasia malis aura perflat, tunc herbae pereunt, cadunque flores, lux solis moritur, calor recedit. Nam natura cuperrat una totum, mundum perpetua gravique lege. Nunquam reseret ulla sempiterna, finem semper abererit necesse. Aec verbaccipe vera, mi Catulle, nec non noster amor perire tebet, qui quandam nituit nitore claro, nunc autem tenebris viescit atris. Ergo desin amar amore fracto, nolo disse lipidines migrantes, nesis excruciatus appetitu, et cum marcita planta non recrescat, nobis sunt aliae novae petendae. Nunc curut valeas, Catulle noster, flores Lesbia iam novos requirit. That's all, guys. It was a great competition, and I hope we have another someday. A big thank you goes out to the mods of the Latin subreddit who set everything up and judged everything, and they always do such a good job of serving the community day in, day out. If you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Check out my Patreon if you're interested in supporting more learner-friendly Latin and Ancient Greek videos, and what the hey, check out my merch shop too if you want to look at some fun t-shirts. Valete!